Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson, and welcome to the Northtown News Magazine.
Marty Levinson, my friend, it's Scott Lee Cohen, and I want you to know, while I'm cutting the waste and corruption in Illinois, I'm going to be doing it with you in mind.
Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Come on, baby, don't you wanna go? Back to that lemon light city, sweet home Chicago.
Hi, I'm Marty Levinson. Welcome to the Northtown News Magazine show with Sonny Hirsch and your host of hosts, Avi Myers.
Thank you, Marty. Avi Myers, Northtown Neighborhood News Magazine. It's pretty obvious I need to see Marty. I'm going to see him tomorrow, which is going to be a bit late considering the fact that we're doing 3 shoots today. But in any event, thank you very much for joining us. Check us out on the web at www.ntnm.org. All our shows are available on YouTube. We're real big on community policing. We'd like to welcome our new police commander, and we want to thank the people of the 24th District for keeping community policing going 6 times a year with police, and the alternate months being community meetings. We very much appreciate that. It's a pleasure to bring you one of my favorite guests, somebody you're very familiar with in the show over the years, one of the guests that's in the top 20 all time of shows watched out of the 1,000 interviews or so we have on the web. And we've got another guest with him. So our first guest is Scott Lee Cohen. How are you?
I thought I was Marty Levinson.
I think you are Marty Levinson.
I thought I was Marty Levinson.
Yeah, I did.
And of course, there's Claudia Miller. Claudia, how you doing?
I'm great.
No, this is the real Marty Levinson.
That's the real Marty.
I'm the real
Levinson,
Marty
definitely.
Levinson.
So, you know what? I'm going to ask you the question everybody's been asking you in the first place.
I knew that was coming.
Yeah, might as well get it out of the way. You running for anything?
No, I am not running for anything right now.
You're not exercising anymore?
I exercise. I believe me, I exercise every day, 20 miles on a bike.
Wow.
Awesome.
Well, I told you I had a heart attack, so I'm trying to keep myself in shape, and I watch what I eat and I exercise. But no, getting back to that question, I have no plans to run in the near future. I told you before, and I'm sure everybody knows this, that I don't believe in Bruce Rauner's politics, and I certainly don't believe in what he's doing. And if things don't change in that arena, I will seriously consider a run when that time comes. But right now, no, nothing.
Well, we've got 3 3/4 years to go with the
Yeah,
guy.
we do. But you know what? Just like last time, I put my heart and soul in it, and I started 2 years before the election. So it would be something I'd have to make up my mind about pretty soon here.
Yeah, definitely, because that's part of the problem. Some people decide to run last minute, and by that time they haven't organized themselves.
Right.
There's a lot involved.
It's unbelievable, and that was really my first go at anything political. So I was really blown away by how much was involved in planning and coordinating, but it went off really well.
Yeah, no, there's no question. And also you have Bill Mulvaney and company,
Right.
At the time Granger Terry, and that also helps a lot too. And by the way, that's also where Claudia Miller comes in. Claudia, tell people about yourself.
Hi, I'm Claudia Miller. I was Scott.
I thought you were Marty Levinson.
I'm Marty Levinson too, AKA. I was Scott Lee Cohen's one of his campaign managers in 2010, and I really firmly believe he was going to win. It was awesome. Working for Scott, helping Scott, always there, and I have so much faith that he would win. I even bring you that keychain.
Yep.
I don't know if you still have it.
Absolutely.
It's a Jewish thing anyway. So I'm an activist, and I stand for what I believe in. And yes, I come from a political family, and I'm very involved. And I agree with Scott on the note: if Rauner doesn't change his ways, things do have to change. And I just see that a lot of things are getting worse, are going to get worse.
Let me interrupt you there. When I ran for governor, I said one thing. that yes, there was wasteful spending and things needed to be cut. But I also said, and this is something that Bruce Warner is not doing, along with cutting, you needed to find a way to bring revenue into the system. And by bringing revenue into the system, I don't mean raising taxes or increasing fines or penalties. I meant bringing fresh businesses into Illinois. And, he has not done that.
No, I mean, listen, I will say this. He's only been there. I mean, this is June, and he's only took office, in January?
True.
But,
Absolutely. And he deserves it. He deserves a chance.
When the Tribune does, like, for instance, the Tribune has been on its horn about the whole budget situation in Springfield, which hasn't been solved yet, and who knows when it will
Correct.
be. But Chicago last year gained a total of 82 residents, the least of the 10 major cities in America. Illinois is not only losing residents in droves, we're number one or number two with people like Allied Van Lines and people moving out of the
Out of
state.
state, right? Absolutely.
So, I mean, to bring in businesses right away, what would have to happen for more businesses to come in?
You need infrastructure. You need some type of incentive. And I'm not talking about the tens of millions of dollars he's giving for big businesses. This nation, this country, was founded on ma and pa stores.
Correct.
That's how we got to where we are. And listen, I believe we have to have the big corporations. That's part of our economy, but we have got to help the smaller businesses thrive and succeed in this state.
Well, here's a problem. I mean, my favorite hardware store was a True Value on Toohey right near California.
Sure. A lot of them have gone.
The minute they heard Home Depot was moving in on Oakton, which is like about 2.5 miles away, he put the business up for sale and the building up for sale. I mean, it's hard to, you can't, it's almost impossible to compete against these people.
Well,
And that's one of the reasons you've got so many empty storefronts. I mean, what do you do? And not only that, but the corporations keep gobbling each other up.
sure.
So you've got so few people in the playing field within a specific business.
Correct. It's just the big retailers now. And I'm feeling it personally in my industry. I'm in the pawn shop business. And for years and years and years, it was all family-owned stores. So now you have Cash America and you have Easy Pawn, which are publicly traded companies that have come into Illinois, and they have put a majority of the family-owned businesses out of business. Why didn't they put me out of business? Because I am in a niche market that they aren't interested in servicing, so I service them, and that's how I maintain. But
By the way, that's the same here. My main business was graphic. I mean, when you're doing journalism, you better do something else besides.
Sure.
Even though there's money to be made in journalism, you better supplement your income.
Well,
So
I agree.
I had the only Hebrew typesetting, and that was my niche, outside of New York and Israel in the world.
Okay.
So anybody in the Midwest, I mean, I was doing things like feed grain labels for export to Israel, whiskey label bottles for export to Israel, everybody's bar mitzvah invitations, the whole shop.
Sure.
I had a niche when computers came in, number one, and number two, one of the reasons I wanted that business, besides for the fact that I could do my own newspapers and magazines cheaper, is that there were no big chains in that business. When Kinko's came in, they took a cut out of everybody.
Everybody, absolutely. And then Kinko's was bought out by FedEx.
Right.
Yeah.
So how can you reverse that?
Yeah. You know what?
Good question.
It's a very good question. And it's a question that truly needs to be studied because we have got to bring the small business back.
No, I agree 100%. Let me bring something else up. I mean, this is just food for thought here, okay?
Sure.
One of the things that I really think is when government overregulates, which they do in a lot of cases. Illinois has more than twice as many regulatory agencies as any other state in the union, including bigger ones like California and Texas and all the rest of it. So I used 2 gallons of chemicals to develop the photo typeset paper every month.
Okay.
I actually had, the EPA come in
Okay.
to completely inspect my little business in my 1,000 square foot storefront And you know, like they put me through a ringer.
Through a ringer.
And I actually did it the right way. It seems to me that when the regulations start coming in, a lot of what they call small businesses, which these days people like 200 people is a small business. Not to me.
No.
200 people is a pretty nice sized
yeah,
business. So you better be making some money doing that. When the big companies can afford all the best lawyers and all the lobbyists in order to.
So what happens when you're a small company and you have the regulators coming in and you can't afford it anymore? Avi, that's a prime example. It's a perfect example, and one of the things that we have to stop. I've been screaming for years that there's too much regulation in a lot of the businesses. The government was designed to protect consumers.
Right.
I love it. I agree with it. However, the reality of it is what the government bodies, even a city and a state, are doing is they're using that as an excuse to bring in more fines, fees, and penalties. Small business, big business, that's how they're trying to bring revenue into their municipalities. It's not the answer.
I agree. It's like living in Chicago with the speed cameras and all these other things, and
Come on.
some of the
Oh, my
buildings,
God.
you know, they're not interested. I mean, you know, there's a school here; it's a speed zone. Okay, now besides for the crossing guards that are out when the kids, you know, come and go, there are 2 speed bumps on every block.
Sure.
Unless you've got like a high-powered, high-wheeled SUV or something, no one's going to speed.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? These red light cameras, these speed cameras need to be outlawed except in a school zone. It is the most ridiculous invasion of privacy that I've ever seen in my lifetime.
No, I agree. What do you think about the idea of retroactive abortion for all state officials?
I think the cameras. It's funny. It's wasteful spending, and another thing is that even on the weekend, if you're by a school and you go over 20 miles, the camera still lights up. What about in the summer? Do they know it's summer school?
It's nothing more than a way to bring revenue into the city of Chicago. Instead of focusing on how to bring the small business back, how to help the small businessman, they're looking for quick fixes with these red lights and these speed cams, and it's all bullshit.
That's correct.
I agree.
All bullshit.
It is.
And,
I agree.
You know, listen, we're all at fault. The reason why Bruce Rauner is our governor, the reason why Rahm is our mayor again, is because we choose to vote for him. And until the day that people wake up and look at the issues and see how the issues affect them and vote accordingly, we're always going to have problems in this society.
See, the reason Rauner was elected, I think it was John Cass that said this, I'm not sure, but it's not so much that people voted for Rauner. I mean, Quinn was so incompetent.
Listen,
you know, it's like you flipped the lever for the other guy.
I cannot argue with you, but I will say this. As incompetent as Pat Quinn was, he always had the everyday person. His interest was at his heart. And Bruce Rauner does not have that.
No, that's true.
Bruce Rauner only cares about the rich.
Rauner's advantage is he can stand up to Madigan and Cullerton, and Quinn tried and he bet real fast.
Well,
and those are the guys who are creating the problems.
Listen, are they creating the problems, or are they preventing worse things from happening? What do I mean by that? What would have happened to the state if Michael Madigan wasn't there and Pat Quinn was at the helm? Can you imagine what would have happened to the state?
Actually, no. I never thought of that scenario.
Nobody thought about that, and everybody thinks that Michael Madigan or Cullerton are bad guys. But let's look. What would happen if they weren't there? What would Bruce Rauner be doing today? What would Pat Quinn have done? Where would our state be today if it weren't for those two guys?
Okay, I mean that there's varied opinions along that score, but that's another story. Believe it or not, we're at the 14-minute mark, so we're out of time here. So I want to thank my two guests. First of all, Claudia, thank you so much for being here.
Avi.
And Scott, we haven't
My
even
pleasure.
started
Great
to
to
finish
see
the
you.
conversation.
We will.
So we're going to invite you back real soon.
When the time is right, then we'll
yeah,
be
and listen,
talking
take
a
the
lot.
stand up your stationary bike and just take those 20 miles and come on over here.
Believe me, I do every
I
day.
do more than 20 miles.
Okay, anyway, I want to thank you very much, Scott Lee Cohen and Claudia Miller, and stay tuned for segment 2.